Hello, I'm Nigar Shirinova and you're watching AnewZ. And here are our headlines.
Kash Patel,
US President-elect Donald Trump has selected Kash Patel to lead the FBI. President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, has announced the country is exploring a possible withdrawal from the Ottawa Convention. The EU condemns canal blast amid rising Pristina-Belgrade tensions. United States President-elect Donald Trump has selected Kash Patel to lead the FBI, signaling major changes for the agency. Patel, a longtime Trump ally, is set to replace Christopher Wray, whose term runs until 2027.
Kash Patel, a former national security prosecutor and chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense, is Trump's pick to replace the current FBI director, Christopher Wray. Known for his loyalty to Trump, Patel has criticized the FBI's leadership and called for sweeping reforms. Christopher Wray, appointed by Trump in 2017, has clashed with the former president. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI carried out a court-approved search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate for classified documents, a move that drew intense backlash from Trump's allies.
I tell you, after 6 weeks of unconstitutional trials, we have finally found a crime. Michael Cohen admitted on the witness stand just this morning to 6 different felonies of stealing Donald Trump's money. After 6 weeks of trial, we finally have a crime. We also have a victim. That victim is Donald J. Trump.
Patel's nomination suggests Trump's determination to overhaul the FBI's operations and leadership. Critics, however, warn that Patel's close ties to the president could compromise the Bureau's impartiality. The nomination is likely to spark a contentious confirmation process in the weeks ahead.
President Alexander Stubb announced Finland is reviewing its stance on the Ottawa Convention, which bans anti-personnel mines. Speaking on Finnish public broadcaster's morning program, President Stubb highlighted that Russia poses Finland's greatest threat. He stated that the government is reviewing its capabilities. The review includes technological and strategic options as Finland addresses heightened regional tensions. Chad has decided to end its defense agreement with France. This could mean French troops will leave the country. Chad says it wants to be more independent and rethinking its alliances. This is another step in reducing France's military role in the region.
Chad's government says it has ended a defense cooperation deal with France, a move that could result in French troops leaving the Central African country. France currently has around 1,000 troops stationed in Chad, as well as warplanes. In a statement, Chad's foreign ministry says the country wants to fully assess its sovereignty after more than 6 decades of independence, a sentiment echoed on the streets of N'Djamena on Friday.
I think the Chadian government is right to demand the departure of French troops. The government is right. We need to start developing now and be truly independent.
Chad has been a key Western ally in the fight against Islamic militants in the region, but it has moved closer to Russia in recent years. It says ending the deal would allow it to redefine its strategic partnerships. The decision is another nail in the coffin for France's historic and colonial rule in Western Central Africa after being forced to pull its troops from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso following military coups. France said on Friday it took note of the decision by Chad and would work with the country to implement it, the foreign ministry said. The statement said Paris had already been working on reconfiguring its African military presence for 2 years.
The EU High Representative Joseph Borrell has strongly condemned the water canal blast committed in northern Kosovo this Friday. Borrell called it a despicable act of sabotage on civilian infrastructure. The canal, vital for water and electricity supply, has left many without essential services following the explosion. Borrell expressed solidarity with Kosovo's people, urging a thorough investigation to bring the perpetrators to justice. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić denied any Serbian involvement, while Kosovo authorities have arrested 8 individuals in connection with the attack. In Georgia, thousands of protesters have filled the streets of Tbilisi for a third night, opposing the government's decision to delay European Union accession talks until 2028.
It's a demand for the government to reconsider its actions. Thousands of protesters gathered in the center of Georgia's capital, Tbilisi, for a third night of demonstrations to express their dissatisfaction over the government's decision to pause European Union accession talks until 2028. The move, which was announced by Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze on Thursday, has angered many residents who believe the country will fall into the hands of Russia.
I'm protesting Russia, first of all. Russia is trying to occupy whole Georgia, and they're trying to occupy us by getting the government they want in Georgia and taking us in without any power. They want to slave us. They want that. So we want peace, but we want freedom. We are able to fight for our freedom, and we will always fight for our freedom. That's what Georgians did all the centuries. That's why we are Georgians. That's why we have our language. That's why we have our culture, because of that people who fought for their country. We are here to fight for our country. We're not going to be slaves.
The Georgian Prime Minister believes these protests are from his opposition and says the state will not allow a revolution. These statements come as he accuses the EU of blackmail following the European Union's call for a rerun of last month's parliamentary elections, citing insignificant irregularities.
In the last 4 years alone, we have seen 2 attempts from overseas to stage and finance a revolution, but both failed. Today, the opposition's strength is even further reduced. As a result, the third attempt at a revolution will fail too.
Following the Prime Minister's remarks, Georgian President Salom Zurabishvili claims the government is illegitimate and refuses to leave office when her term comes to an end next month. The pro-EU president says she is proud of Georgia in wake of these protests and that no one can deprive the country of its European future.
Tomorrow we will meet again. Alongside me will be the individuals I have invited who will join me in leading this political process because I remain your president. There is no legitimate parliament and therefore an illegitimate parliament cannot elect a new president. Thus, no inauguration can take place and my mandate continues until a legitimately elected parliament is formed, which can then elect my successor. But I am with you. I will remain with you.
Authorities say more than 100 arrests have been made since the onset of these protests, and at least 6 law enforcement officers have been injured.
The 5th and final United Nations Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee meeting to create a legally binding global treaty is set to wrap up in Busan, South Korea. However, negotiations have stalled over key details of the proposed treaty.
On the final day of scheduled talks, negotiators working on a treaty to combat plastic pollution are engaged in a tough debate. While over 100 countries advocate for reducing plastic production, a small group of oil-producing nations insists the focus should be solely on plastic wastes. Environmental organizations have condemned the actions of countries opposing efforts to address plastic production and using procedural tactics to delay negotiations. They say it's a global betrayal.
Plastics are not convenience. Plastics are poison. Every piece that we allow to produce without limits is a direct assault on our health, on our nature, and our children. For those blocking progress, you are allowing this crisis to fester, and it will kill us. This is just not a treaty about plastics. This is humanity's line on the sand. If we don't get an ambitious treaty out of Busan, it will be a global betrayal.
Like we've said, and like all of us in this table have said, nobody is going to leave Busan with a weak treaty. Nobody is going to accept a weak treaty.
Greenpeace said it escalated its pressure on Saturday by sending 4 international activists to South Korea to raise awareness about the crisis. The activists boarded a tanker headed into port. to load toxic chemicals used to make plastics.
As the world gathers for this critical phase of the global plastics treaty negotiations, Greenpeace reminds governments that the eyes of the world are on you. The decisions made here will determine whether we confront the plastics crisis with the ambition it demands or allow the fossil fuel and petrochemical interests to derail progress. The science is clear. Without urgent action, plastic production will triple by 2050, further fueling the climate crisis, polluting ecosystems, and endangering human health. A weak treaty is a failed treaty.
A 2023 UN Environment Programme report identified over 3,200 chemicals of concern in plastics, highlighting that women and children are particularly vulnerable to their toxic effects. A treaty addressing plastic pollution could become one of the most significant environmental agreements alongside the 2015 Paris Agreement in terms of both environmental protection and climate warming emissions.
Thessaloniki, Greece's second city, officially opens its long-awaited metro system. The construction, delayed by archaeological discoveries, now highlights the city's history alongside modern transit.
The project began in 2006 and faced significant delays. Workers discovered Byzantine-era markets, Roman cemeteries, and other archaeological sites, raising questions about balancing modernization with preserving history. Instead of disrupting the project, the artifacts were integrated into the metro stations, allowing commuters to experience both the city's ancient past and modern transit. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis spoke at the inauguration, highlighting the significance of the project.
Today we have both the metro and the ancient ruins of Thessaloniki before us. All Thessaloniki residents will see that. In the end, the struggle was worth it, until the project was completed.
The metro, which took nearly 20 years to complete, faced setbacks, including funding issues during Greece's 2009 and 2018 debt crisis. It is the first metro system in Greece outside Athens. To preserve the archaeological sites, builders dug as deep as 31 meters to bypass the ancient discoveries.
China's Shenzhou 19 crew, currently aboard the Chang'e space station, has successfully completed a month of groundbreaking scientific research and maintenance tasks.
The Shenzhou 19 crew aboard China's Tiangong space station is conducting 86 crucial experiments that are vital for the future of space exploration and human health in space. These experiments cover areas such as space life science, space medicine, and materials science, providing essential data to ensure the success and safety of long-term space missions. The crew is performing key experiments, including protein crystallization and cell culture, which are critical for advancing medical research and developing new treatments. These studies help scientists understand how biological systems react to microgravity, which can lead to breakthroughs in both space and Earth-based medicine. In aerospace medicine, the crew is investigating how microgravity affects human cognition, using tools like electroencephalography to measure brain activity and eye trackers to study decision-making and relationship recognition in space. This research provides insights into the effects of space on cellular development and could improve our understanding of the health risks faced by astronauts on long-duration flights.
That's all from us here in Baku for now. Thank you and keep watching AnewZ.